Well, guys, man, I don't know what it is about this Cleveland Browns media. It seems like they're on a campaign not to have Shedeur Sanders as their QB1 for the 2026 NFL season. Now, we all know Todd Monken was the new hire for the Cleveland Browns, and he's highly on Shedeur Sanders, recruited him when Shedeur came out of high school, wanted him to come to Georgia. Also, when he was the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens last year, told Shedeur Sanders we wanted to draft him, but now he's his head coach in Cleveland. And a lot of people were upset that Todd Monken got the head coaching job because he thinks highly of Shedeur Sanders. Now, the Cleveland media is trying to spin the narrative on anybody but Shedeur Sanders. And the thing about it is, on the UCSS podcast, Zack, Jackson, Jason Lloyd, and Bull was talking about another potential quarterback coming in to the Cleveland Browns. You are now tuned into a brand new episode of the Simply Ball Dropping podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. Well, today, man, we got to talk about some of the crazy nonsense that's going on surrounding around Shedeur Sanders and how these other Cleveland media personnel want anybody but Shedeur Sanders. But we're going to talk about it right after this.
Let me put you on game. These other podcasts out here talking that shit, but ain't repping the same. It's my bro K-Sap, chopping up topics for your optics. From politics to your top hits. Tune in, you gotta watch this. Exclusive material for your radio, stereo, pumping high definition. Stop what you doing and listen. We smashing all competition. You better jump on this wave. Somebody pass me a mic, man. I got something to say.
Well, guys, you know I got something to say, man. Well, today on UCSS, the media campaign not to have Shedeur Sanders as quarterback one has took another weird turn. Now, we all know on UCSS, we always have our man G. Bush on there. So when these guys get out of pocket, G. Bush will start cooking up a sermon and start frying them to death. Now, today, G. Bush wasn't on there, so they had Zack Jackson on the couch with him today. Now, for the people that don't know who Zack Jackson is a Browns writer. He writes for the Athletic of Cleveland. He also has a A to Z podcast alongside Andre Knott. But Zack Jackson, he was on the couch, and the topic of discussion was Malik Willis. Now, like G. Bush said 2 days ago, Malik Willis is like a brand new toy to these Cleveland media personnel, and they want anybody but Shedeur Sanders. So they're going to spin the narrative any way they want. So they actually was sitting on the couch talking about Malik Willis potentially being in play to be the Cleveland Browns' #1 quarterback next year. And they're going to have to pay Malik Willis if Malik Willis chooses to come to Cleveland. But this notion that Malik Willis is a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. Malik Willis has been in the league going on 5 years, potentially 6. And he was drafted by the Tennessee Titans, never got a chance with the Tennessee Titans. It's the maturation process, the grooming, give him time. But see, when you come in talking about Shedeur Sanders, the thing about it is people don't want to give Shedeur Sanders time to be the perfect quarterback that Shedeur Sanders thinks he can be. They're trying to rush the process. And what they want to do is get Shedeur Sanders out of there as soon as possible. Shedeur Sanders started the last 7 games of the season for the Cleveland Browns in 2025, went 3-4 in that span, beat the Los Angeles Raiders in his first start, and set some records in his first start. And then he ended off the season beating 2 of the AFC North opponents. And what happened is people didn't like what they saw in Shedeur Sanders. So the Cleveland media has jumped all over Shedeur Sanders, talking about what Shedeur Sanders is not the quarterback that the Cleveland Browns want. They don't need him. They can't win with Shedeur. They need to draft a quarterback in the draft. Well, them options of drafting a quarterback in the draft are out the window. Get you an offensive lineman, get you a big play wide receiver, and also build around Shedeur Sanders. Now they got all these other quarterbacks they want to throw in the fray. They want to throw in Matt Jones. They want to throw in Kirk Cousins. Now they want to throw in Malik Willis. So I want you guys to sit and listen to what Zack Jackson had to say. And me personally, I think it's another clown take, another way of hating on Shedeur Sanders and not giving Shedeur Sanders an opportunity. This Cleveland media is fickle. Take a listen to what Zack Taylor had to say and how Jason Lloyd piggybacked off of it. Take a listen.
Let's discuss.
Wow. Yeah, so last week I was pretty convinced that the Browns are not in on Malik Willis, right?
Okay,
I just thought, they have this, they're stuck with Watson for one more year.
Yeah.
They have Shedeur under contract, and they have other options that are cheaper, longer term, whatever. But the more I've thought about Malik Willis and the more in the situation, I think there's only a handful of teams, and maybe only 3-4 at the most, who are legitimate suitors for Malik Willis.
The Jets?
Right? The Jets, and that's a maybe, because
Okay.
they might be playing for the future. And the Dolphins are the obvious one. They just hired a coach
Sure.
from Green Bay,
Yeah.
a GM from Green Bay. They've been with Malik Willis the last 2 years. Then there's Minnesota, which would obviously be making a move.
Sure.
And we don't know if Minnesota's instead going to trade for Mac Jones or maybe
Right.
just pursue Kirk Cousins as insurance, something like that. So the Browns are on that short list. The Browns
Sure.
need a quarterback.
Yes.
The Browns just hired a coach because of his offensive prowess in Baltimore, where he
The
built an
Browns
offense
don't need
around
a
Lamar
quarterback.
Jackson and a mobile
They need a
quarterback.
backup.
So Malik
quarterback.
Willis is not Lamar Jackson, is not going to be Lamar Jackson. But Malik Willis is an interesting prospect. He's unique because of his lack of experience and the unknown.
Right.
But when you look at his skill set in his best game last year, you know who was on the other sideline for that game? Todd Monk. So I believe the Browns have to look and evaluate every single option, from Anthony Richardson to Mac Jones to Tanner McKee to Malik Willis. But they will have, this is where I've changed, they will have the opportunity to be a real suitor for Malik Willis. Will Malik Willis choose them? Will they ultimately get in a bidding war if that comes? But I just think the certainty that they will have a chance to do that leads me to, as they go through all of these options, dozens and dozens of them, this one's always going to be at the top of the list. Will they pursue it? Will it work? I don't know. But I've shifted my thinking into this is very real.
Do you think he's definitely has a better skill set than Shedeur Sanders?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do. I think he has a stronger arm.
Yeah.
And I think he's more of a dynamic weapon. So Shedeur is a pretty good scrambler, probably better than I thought.
Yeah.
Shedeur is certainly worth more development to this team, and this team has the commitment to Shedeur at a very low price. So any decision you make that would involve moving away from that, certainly you have to talk about. And we don't know where this team is or thinks it's going to be. But if this team thinks that it can contend in kind of a wonky AFC North right now, it really thinks that it has a defense that's truly as legitimate as it played for most of last year, then going after Malik Willis makes sense. And if it makes sense, they have a chance to be very involved in the bidding.
Jason, you buying what Zach's selling here?
Yeah, I'm buying it. I haven't like planted a flag in any quarterback yet because it's still too early in the process. I kind of want to get to Indy next week and just sort of get a better feel of the land. But I said a few weeks ago, somebody's paying Malik Willis. One of these teams is paying him. I think Miami's in a full tank. I don't know if you agree with that.
Correct, and that's why it's not a certainty.
That's why I don't think
they
he goes to Miami.
like
That's why I'm
guys.
saying they cut Chubb.
Well, they had to do that regardless.
Okay,
they did.
All right,
they were so bloated with the cap.
Right.
But it just feels to me like they're pivoting to a full tank and worrying about a quarterback in next year's draft.
Now, you heard what the guys had to say. You heard what Zack Jackson said. Now, this notion of him saying that Malik Willis is better than Shedeur Sanders is a downright bad take to me. There's no way, shape, or form that Malik Willis is a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. He don't even show the potentially to be a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders has a higher upside than Malik Willis. Malik Willis is a certified backup quarterback, and that's what he's good for. If Cleveland does go get Malik Willis, he will be a great serviceable backup to Shedeur Sanders. Now, Zack Jackson said, now, if they want to contend, they better go out and get they better go out and get Malik Willis. So basically he's saying anybody but Shedeur Sanders. Now see, You see how they give all the praise to all these other quarterbacks and their potential and what they can do. They never give Shedeur Sanders his utmost respect or his praise for the potential that he has and the great upside and the great things that they saw in Shedeur Sanders last year in 2025. They're going to downplay anything when it comes surrounding around Shedeur Sanders. And this notion about Malik Willis having a stronger arm, it doesn't matter if you have a strong arm. If you don't have the accuracy, if you can't get that pinpoint placement, if you can't throw it on time and on target, a strong arm does not mean nothing to me. Shedeur Sanders is probably one of the accuratest passers in the NFL that we've seen in a long time. Pinpoint accuracy. He can get the ball down the field. He can make any throw. So this notion about Malik Willis being the better quarterback and having better potential than Shedeur Sanders, that's just a bad take to me. Everybody has an opinion, but I told you, their opinions is anything but Shedeur Sanders. If they can say anything to undermine Shedeur Sanders, they feel great about themselves. And that's what the Cleveland media does. And see, the crazy thing about it is Jason Lloyd sat there and piggybacked off of everything that Zack Jackson had to say. And that goes to show that the three guys that were sitting on the couch today, they do not like Shedeur Sanders. Just come out and say y'all don't like Shedeur Sanders. I would feel better. But stop hating on Shedeur Sanders in any way, shape, or form that you can. And y'all better be glad that G. Bush was not on that couch today, because Zack Jackson, he would have let you have it. I see everybody in the comment section. #salute. If you're not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button. Turn your post notifications on so you know every time Simply Ball drops another hot banger. Oh, yeah, just in case I forgot. Tell a friend to tell a friend. It might not be for you, but it might be for them. I see everybody in the comment section. #salute. And this is going to wrap up another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. Catch you on the next one. Deuces.
Thanks for listening to the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share on all major platforms.
That's all, folks.